Holy crap. People are pissed off at Michael Saylor. And it was from a recent interview. I actually aired the whole interview. I'll put it on the end screen. But people are pissed off at what Michael Saylor just said. And they are not shy about talking about it over on Twitter. I want to go through it, give you my thoughts. Also, give you some interesting thoughts on a dream that I just had. I'm literally dreaming in Bitcoin now, which is just wild. I'll explain that. And then also we do have some inflow data. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy just flipped a massive company as well. So we'll go through all that. If you guys want to trade cryptocurrency, there's a link underneath the video to Margex. You can set up your account in just a few minutes there. There's no KYC and you don't need a VPN. Set it up and you can start trading. This is pretty beautiful. Like, we are bouncing off the prior resistance, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's also a link to BTCC underneath the video where you can trade hundreds and hundreds of smaller cryptos as well as big cryptos, and you can trade up to 250x leverage. No KYC, and you don't need a VPN there either. Now let's get over to the clip of Michael Saylor and what he said that pissed so many people off.
If there is more Bitcoins held with these third-party custodians, what risk does that pose, having greater supply held by fewer large institutions? Does that increase the risk of seizure and confiscation like we've seen with gold? And is that not exactly what Bitcoiners don't want to happen?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think that when the Bitcoin is held by a bunch of crypto anarchists who aren't regulated entities, who don't acknowledge government or don't acknowledge taxes or don't acknowledge reporting requirements, that increases the risk of seizure. You have an OG crypto community that's very hardcore about it, but if you look at where all the money is, 99.9% of the money is actually in the traditional economy.
If you consider the Great Depression, people thought that their gold was safe in banks until the executive order of 1933. So we're not entirely safe. I know that's kind of a wild thing to suggest may happen again, but history does repeat itself. So people's Bitcoin wouldn't be entirely safe.
People say that, but mostly it's paranoid crypto anarchists that say that. Okay? Because it's a myth and a trope that goes on over and over again. But first of all, he didn't really seize the gold. People voluntarily turned in the gold. They didn't go and kick in everybody's door, arrest them, shoot them, and take their gold. That never happened. Is the United States on the Bitcoin standard?
Maybe we will be soon.
But the point really is we're not. Right? It's totally not a reasonable comparison. People have these inflammatory, tropes or inflammatory memes that they use. And it's like, I say that because I want you to give me your money. Okay? Like, if you don't trust the bank, then you'll buy my hardware wallet. If you don't trust this government, you'll move to my country and you'll buy a passport from me. That's the kind of fear-mongering to get you to give me your money, right? And I use it to sell you a gun, to sell you a hardware wallet, to sell you an account, to sell you a financial advisor, to sell you an insurance policy, to sell you fill in the blank.
Now, this is really interesting. I think a lot of people are assuming that Michael Saylor is saying you can't self-custody or he's insulting Bitcoiners. I don't think that's the case. I think you're just looking at it and you realize Michael Saylor has been the one that's bridged the gap between traditional finance and Bitcoin, something that's so scary to a lot of traditional companies, and yet he is getting them to understand it, to start buying it. And she's asking, like, is it more risky to have it at these large companies? And he's saying, well, no. The other side is they could be with all these people that the government doesn't really like because they don't report their taxes, they're anarchists, or they could be at these financially regulated companies that have been around for a century, that report, pay their taxes, and are basically too big to fail. And she goes on to point out that, doesn't that mean that the government could take your crypto? And he says, no, that is kind of a misnomer. They didn't actually come in and take everyone's gold back in the day. Keep in mind, Michael Saylor does not say you have to buy his stock instead of buying Bitcoin and self-custodying. He's never said that. He has talked about defending the right to self-custody, and he's talked about how valuable that is from a nation-state perspective to be able to have that kind of safety so that no one can take it from you. If some country comes in and tries to wage war on you to get your wealth, well, they're not getting your wealth because your Bitcoin is on cold storage. Now, of course, everyone can do their own thing. Everyone can decide what they want to do. I don't think he's saying, though, that you should necessarily hold it with a company. You know, he's talked about why you might want to hold it with his company because they're actually going to get you more Bitcoin yield because of being able to play the markets, because of the ability to sell shares and take advantage of volatility. So he can actually get you more Bitcoin yield. He thinks that, you know, the ETFs are just a good way for traditional finance to be able to start buying Bitcoin because not everyone can go in self-custody, to be clear. Now, I think you have to remember some people just are going to be pissed off at this. Like Vitalik just said, I probably did more than most to spread the mountain man trope. By the way, I consider those remarks of mine outdated. Snarks and AA changed the trade-off space immediately, and I'll happily say that I think Saylor's comments are batshit insane. Talking about self-custody just being a paranoid mountain man type thing to do. Again, I think that this is taken out of context a bit. Now, keep in mind, in the same interview, Saylor said, I'm a single guy. I have no children. When I'm gone, I'm gone. Just like Satoshi left a mountain of Bitcoin to the universe, so I'm leaving whatever I've got to the civilization. So it sounds like he's just going to literally leave his Bitcoin. No one's going to get it. I think he owns 17,000 Bitcoin right now. I mean, that's kind of a noble thing in the crypto world, to leave your Bitcoin so that way it just becomes deflationary. That's pretty cool. Keep in mind, too, Michael Saylor has grown this company massively. MicroStrategy is now bigger than Ford. Ford has been around for 121 years. It's one of the most well-known companies in the world, I'd say. And yet MicroStrategy in 5 years has been able to 50x their business and is now bigger than Ford. That shows you the new world versus the old world, right? Like, how many billions of dollars of revenue has Ford done over the years versus MicroStrategy, which bought a scarce asset that's appreciated in value 3x. They've been able to sell volatility and then been able to buy a lot more of the underlying asset, and now they're trading at a premium for it. Just crazy. It's just crazy. And we continue to have the ETFs swallow up more Bitcoin. Just yesterday, BlackRock bought 637 Bitcoin. A little bit of a lighter day compared to the other days, but they still bought more than all the Bitcoin that was issued. Keep in mind, it was a negative day overall because we had ARKB with an outflow of 135 million. So we did have a pretty decent sized outflow for the first time in 7 days or so. That could be part of the reason that we have Bitcoin trending down here today. 66.3. And again, this is pretty interesting because this is right at the level we bounced off of or got rejected by about a month ago. So I would not be surprised if we turned around and continued moving up, even if we continue to fall down. As long as we don't get below 59,000, I still think it'd be bullish with that higher low. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video, though. Of course, I want to hear what you guys think about Michael Saylor's comments. Keep in mind, too, like he talks for hours at a time, multiple times every month. There's probably going to be some time where he says something that's not really like politically correct in the crypto sphere. Keep in mind, Michael Saylor is approaching this from a very different perspective. Like, he does not need to make more money. When he bought this, he was basically just trying to preserve his capital, make it so that they could actually grow a little bit. Again, like, I don't think even he thought that they would take advantage of this and it would be this substantial, right? I don't think when he bought Bitcoin, he thought the business was going to 40x in 4 years in terms of market cap. I think he just thought, well, we're just treading water now. We're just going to a slow death. So I think we have to remember that we should cut him a little bit of slack too, because he's done a lot for the community. But let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comment section. Fun fact, actually, I had a dream last night, a little bit of a tangent here. And when I woke up from the dream, I don't know if you ever have this, you're like, this was a really important dream, I need to remember this. And then you're like, well, am I saying this because I'm in a half delirious state and it's actually dumb? But when I woke up this morning, I thought maybe this would actually be worth sharing. Maybe I've been drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much, but I had this dream where I went back in time about 20 or 30 years, and I had to prove, I was at like a university, like a science, like an upper science class or something, like a graduate science class. And I had to show these people I was from the future because I need their help to get back to the future. Okay. So I thought, okay, well, how can I show them? How can I prove to them that I'm from the future? And I tried to show them my phone. It's broken from the time jump. I show them my laptop. It's like literally bent. So a lot of stuff doesn't work. And I wanted to shoot a YouTube video, like just covering the crypto market, covering Bitcoin. And I'm like, that's not even a thing yet. It's kind of a tangent there, but I go back and I'm like, okay, well, some games work. I can show them video. So I show them my computer and they're like blown away how high resolution this is, how well the graphics work and that kind of stuff. They're like, we have nothing like this. And then I tell them about the future. And one of the things I brought up was Bitcoin. Like, there is a beautiful, beautiful asset that you might want to buy one day. It is censorship resistant, no third parties. There's someone that created it that just passed it along and has not touched their stack of Bitcoin in over a decade. It's gone up in value, and more people are buying it and getting access to this. And you can store it yourself, so that way no one can take it away from you. And it wasn't like it wasn't something that I said so that way they believed that I was from the future, but it just felt like such an important thing that happens in the future that I wanted them to know about. I don't know what this means exactly, but I did think it was kind of interesting that even my subconscious state thinks that Bitcoin is one of the most important things that we have today, and one of the coolest things that we have today. Let me know your thoughts on all this, though, underneath the video. Apparently, I'm dreaming in Bitcoin now. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Again, check out the links to Margex and to BTCC underneath the video where you can start trading cryptocurrencies. Again, you can trade large caps on Margex. It's a great platform where you can use different forms of collateral, and you can trade over 100, like 400 or 500 different cryptos, up to 250x leverage over on BTCC. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next one.